Recording in progress.
Hello! Mabuhay! This is Teacher Lourdes, and this is your course, Methods of Research. Our lesson 10 is Quantitative Research. Our objectives are describe a quantitative research and analyze examples of quantitative research. For the student activity, you will explain quantitative research in a video. Let's play jumbled letters. You can pause this video and answer in the comment section. Did you get all three correct answers? Quantitative, research, and concept. Let's now have the lesson proper. Thank you so much to ChatGPT, Zoom.com, and Canva.com. Let's now have the lesson proper. Let's define quantitative research. Quantitative research is a systematic, scientific approach that focuses on numerical data and statistical analysis to test hypotheses, measure variables, identify patterns, and determine relationships or causation. It is grounded in positivist and empiricist traditions and typically follows a deductive logic from theory to data. This is according to Bryman and Rana et al. According to Sage Journals, quantitative research is designed with the intention of hypothesis testing, predictive modeling, or making a causal inference. Science Direct said that it refers to the systematic collection and analysis of numerical data using mathematical or statistical methods in order to explain real-world phenomena. Basically, scientists and researchers use quantitative research because they analyze numerical data and statistical analysis to test hypotheses and measure variables. And they also identify patterns and determine relationships or causation. So quantitative research is very important to all scientists and researchers. So quantitative research also aims to explain natural phenomena and by using experimental methods and using tables and other methods of analyzing data, they aim to explain natural and real-world phenomena. So what are the key characteristics of quantitative research? First, numeric focus. The data is expressed in numbers. For example, counts, scores, and measurements. And usually, the data is always expressed and analyzed using tables or other framework or other types of presenting data. Next, the key characteristic of quantitative research is large samples. It aims for generalizability and statistical power. So, if you are using quantitative research, usually you use a large number of samples or participants, or in case of experimental research, you need to compare groups. It is called experimental or quasi-experimental method because you are trying to uh, evaluate or you are trying to analyze large samples of data, because the more samples or the more number of participants, it will make the research more valid. Okay? And number three, standardized instruments. So the quantitative research uses surveys, equipment, and structured observations. It is important that the instruments used in quantitative research are standardized so that the research can be replicated or repeated. Number four, pre-planned design. All phases are structured before data collection. So before you gather data for your quantitative research, for example, an experimental research, you will always plan ahead. You need to plan how you will conduct the experiment or the data collection beforehand using the methodology. You will list down the step-by-step process in order to gather your data. And the last one, objective analysis. A quantitative research uses statistical tools to ensure impartiality and reliability. So, there are numerous statistical tools used in research. So let's search Google for statistical tools. Okay, statistical tools in research. Okay, so Google AI. Okay, so these are the statistical tools in research, the methods to analyze data, draw meaningful conclusions, and test hypotheses. So common statistical tools include measures of strength, central tendency, the mean, median, and mode, and measures of dispersion, the standard deviation, t-test, and ANOVA, and correlation analysis. And there are other statistical tools used research, which you will discuss in-depth discussion in the in your higher years. If you already take your master's or doctorate, there are other higher types of statistical tools. Okay, but in college, these are usually the statistical tools used: the mean, the median, the mode, standard deviation, the variance, and the range. So the mean is the average of the data set. Okay, and the median is the middle value, and the mode is the most frequently occurring value. For example, you have data of 1 to 100, and there are frequently numbers of 55. So 55 is the mode if there are, for example, there are 20 55 value, and you have data from 1 to 100. So the mode is the most frequently occurring value. And the median is the middle value. And the mean is the average. You will add all the value and divided it by the number of values and the variance. And the inferential statistics are t-test. And there is a formula for the t-test, and there are online measurements or applications that can compute the t-test, the ANOVA, and the correlation analysis and the hypothesis, the chi-square test, and the regression analysis. There are applications that compute this inferential statistics. Okay, so these are the other inferential statistics. The analysis of variance is just to compare the means of three or more groups. Okay? So, and other important concepts, there are parametric and non-parametric tests. When you say parametric, it's t-test and ANOVA. Okay? So, non-parametric tests are Mann-Whitney test and other tests. Okay, as you take your master's or your doctor studies, you will study other type of test, higher test using the you can use online applications, or you can also compute manually. And in analyzing the data, there is the p-value. In hypothesis testing, the p-value represents the probability of obtaining results as extreme or more extreme than the observed results, assuming the null hypothesis is true. So these are the statistical tools in research that are usually used in college. So now let's go back to your lesson. So those are the key characteristics of uh, quantitative research. So now let us discuss the quantitative research designs. The American Academic Consensus identifies four primary quantitative research designs. So the first quantitative research design is the descriptive research. The purpose is to describe current status or characteristics of variables without manipulation. So, you will just describe the current status or characteristics without manipulation. For example, you will use cross-sectional surveys, case study, and cohort studies. And the role of this descriptive research is to measure how many or what percentage and etc., often serving as a basis for hypothesis generation. And the second is correlational research. Okay, the purpose is to explore relationships or associations between variables. And this is distinct from descriptive. It goes beyond description to quantify direction or strength of relationships. The limitations are you cannot establish the causation. Okay, in correlational research, from the word correlate, so you will correlate the associations between the variables. And for descriptive, from the word describe, okay, you will describe the status of the variables. And number three, the causal or the comparative, also called quasi-experimental. The purpose of this research is to examine cause-effect relationship where the independent variable is not controlled by the researcher. For example, studies comparing groups after the fact without random assignment. So, when you are using more groups or three or more groups in your study, you will use causal effect comparative or quasi-experimental research. And the last one, number four, the experimental research. The purpose of this is to establish causality using manipulation of independent variable and random assignment. This is a gold standard. This has high internal validity due to rigorous variable control. So when you use experimental research, there is a control group. When you say control group, this control group will not utilize your developed intervention or treatment or your the variable you are studying. And the experimental group is the group that has used the variable you are studying. For example, in my thesis, my research is entitled Contextualized Comic Strips in Physics. And I use the comic strips as the independent variable, and I, uh, I apply the comic strips I develop with the topic heat, temperature, and electricity. So I made comic strips for this topic, and I have a control variable. The control group, one control group did not utilize the comic strips, and my experimental group utilized the comic strips as a supplement in their studies. After the experiment, the control group used my comic strips, and my study, my research in masters found that the comic strips improve the understanding of physics concepts compared to the control group, which did not utilize my comic strips. So my research showed that my developed comic strips have significant effect to my students. Significant effect so that my developed comic strips are valuable in the understanding of the physics concepts. So that's my experimental research. Okay? And these are the other quantitative approaches. Um, Additional specialized designs include single subject designs, repeated measures on one subject, and survey-based design, cross-sectional, longitudinal, repeated independent samples and trend studies. And regression, discontinuity, are quasi-experimental design seen in academics and social sciences for causal inference. So let's now have the summary table. So when the research is descriptive, there is no manipulation and there is no random assignment. There is also no causality or the cause and effect. When you say correlational, so the correlational study has also no manipulation and no random assignment and no causality. When you say quasi-experimental, there is manipulation because there is a control group also. And uh, random assignment, there is no random assignment. And there is a cautious causality. And when you use experimental, where you have the control group and the experiment group or groups, and there is manipulation. Yes, there is manipulation because you will utilize a treatment or something you have developed to the experiment group. And you will compare the data from the control group. Okay, and there is random assignment and there is causality. When you say causality, you will analyze the cause and the effect of your treatment or the develop uh, something you develop in the group. Okay, that's our lesson. So these are the references. Thank you so much for these references. Thank you also to ChatGPT, to Zoom.com, and to Canva.com. So now let's look at some examples of quantitative study. So this study is titled A Quantitative Study of the Impact of Social Media Reviews on Brand Perception. Thank you so much to my to this study from this link. Okay, so let's see the quantitative study by Nesha Joshi. Okay, so this is the dedication, the abstract, the table of contents. So let's read the mhm, let's read the findings. This is the background of the study. You can just search for this study online. Okay, and if you want to read it, so this is the framework. And this is chapter 2, the review of related literature. And this is the previous work around Yelp. Okay, so this is the data collection step by step. Okay. So let's read the dependent independent variables. Okay, and this is the table. Okay, so this is the modeling of the performance of video reviews from independent variables. Okay. So let's find the discussion and findings. So this is the findings. The data is divided into two parts: attributes used by content creation to publish a video and the metrics for measuring the reaction of the audience to the videos. Okay. The purpose of this thesis is to find a correlation between dependent variables and the independent variables for 942 YouTube videos. So that's a lot of YouTube videos. That's why this is a quantitative study because numbers is very important when you do a quantitative research. Okay, so these are the YouTube videos, reviewers, and channel studied. Okay, so the author carefully monitored the performance of the content creators for the brands discussed in data collection section. So, so, so these are their findings. Okay. Our study found that a high resolution video is pleasing to the eye and can immediately bring a sense of reliability. So, okay, so that's their findings. So high resolution is pleasing to the eye. Okay? Okay. The important variable is the tone of voice used by the content creator. So though the tone of voice or tonality is also important. So I hope you find my voice good. I hope as your teacher in research, I hope you find my voice good to the ears. Okay. So, and the tonality of speech. Okay. Okay. So the findings of our YouTube study discussed in the next section of the chapter. So The findings of their study are the research findings give brand managers a guideline to use the potential of content creators to the fullest. Okay, so ito yung findings nila. Okay. So they find out that uh, highest resolution of 1080p generates high views per like. So it's important that when you do your video and as a content creator, you use high resolution. Okay, and also, so as you can see, researchers created a table. Okay, okay. So the impact of resolution. So it's important that your video has high resolution. Okay. So this is how you present your data. Okay. You use tables. So these are tables. Okay. So another uh, aspect, the impact of popularity of a brand on positive audience engagement. Okay. So it's also important that the brand is popular. Okay. So this is the table presented. Okay. Successful case study, 1+1. Okay. So there are also data presented in table. Okay. So brand performance correlation model. Okay, table 14, meaning. Okay. So this is also a graph. Okay. Okay. So let's now have the conclusions of the study. Bibliography na. So where are the conclusions? So the conclusion is the research analyzed the impact of content creators on audience engagement through YouTube and Yelp.com. They quantify specific attributes or YouTube video production techniques like resolution, tonality, date published, and duration of the video to understand the impact. Okay, so they prove that views per like is an important metric to understand audience engagement. Okay. So, they validate their method by applying to the restaurant industry. Okay. So, this is the conclusion of the study. If you want to read this study, you can just search for it online. So, that's there. Their research is useful for brand managers and marketers to most effectively use social media content creators and impact the brand perception in the minds of current and prospective customers or target. Okay. This will enable companies to experience high-level interaction with their audience and enhance online promotion orchestrated by content creators and carried forward by their target audience. So that's the study, one quantitative research. Let's look at this another research titled A Quantitative Study Comparing Traditional High Schools and High Schools Implementing Freshman Academies in the State of Tennessee. Okay, so let's look at this study by Courtney Michelle Thornton. This is a dissertation. Okay, so let's read the abstract. When you say abstract, this is the summary of the study. So let's read the abstract by Courtney Michelle Thornton. So, the purpose of this study was to compare ninth grade student achievement in Tennessee schools the year before and after the schools implemented a freshman academy, as well as compare such schools with traditional Tennessee high schools. The factors in the study impact student achievement and serve as a dependent variables were attendance rates, number of credits earned, and suspensions for ninth graders. Data were obtained by various software programs used by the schools to entertain, maintain, and retrieve data. So, 2x2 ANOVAs were conducted. ANOVA is used for comparing the means of groups. to determine if there were differences in the mean attendance rates and mean number of credits earned among ninth graders based on the type of institution, academic years prior to and following the implementation of the freshman academy. Okay, so what they found, chi-square tests were used to determine if there was a relationship between suspensions prior to academic year. The freshman academy was implemented. Okay, so this is also the abstract. So their findings are uh, Academy High Schools A and B, years prior to and following the experimentation. The analysis of the data indicated there was a significant difference in the number of students suspended following the implementation of academy approach. Okay. At Freshman Academy A, but not at Freshman Academy B. So that's how you make a quantitative research. Numbers are important. Okay, so thank you. I hope you learned our lesson, quantitative research. So thank you so much for our student activity. Okay, for our student activity, you will explain what you have learned about the quantitative research in a 1 or 1 to 2 minute video, and you will submit your output to our Google Classroom in 3 days. Okay. Thank you for listening. This is your teacher, Teacher Lourdes, saying, Mabuhay!